G'day everyone, welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. It's pretty much mid-October. How crazy is that? We have nearly seen away with another year. 2024 is close to coming to an end. I want to say a very special happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian viewers and friends. Ones like Kelly Morrison, who is in Canada, and just in case she watches it, Kathy Snyder is in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Kathy, and to if you are in Canada, because so many of you are from all over the place. But if you're in Canada, then a happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanksgiving is not something we celebrate here in Australia. It's very much, that American sort of North American kind of thing. Maybe is it only Canada and America, the USA, that celebrate Thanksgiving? Let me know. Martian Murray says he's not Canadian. Okay, you're not Canadian, but you'll celebrate it anyway. That's good, Martian. Today we're doing a mini topic, and I've actually even put up just a general question for you, for those of you who are watching the show live and are in the live chat. I've put a question up there for you, to let us all know, if you feel comfortable to, in the live chat. What is your current vocal obstacle? What are you, needing to? What do you see currently as a barrier for you? And that it can be anything. And we're going to go through 6 different barriers today, but and maybe provide some ideas around how to overcome them. But put your comments in the chat. Again, if you are wanting to add a comment to the live chat, please make sure to do so you have to subscribe, and then I think it's like a 5-minute timer to allow you to make a comment. And the reason for that, again, is it just keeps the chat a relatively safer space for all of us to enjoy. So we do use it as a bit of a firewall. For those of you who know, Linda is always here as our last bastion of defense against such practices, trolling, etc. And over the years we've had a few, haven't we, Linda? But we've also got that other level of security. So subscribe, wait your 5 minutes, and then please engage. We want to interact with you, and also while you're at the process of subscribing, hit the white bell icon, because that'll always give you the reminders about when we go live. We do so every Monday, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which of course is different to Australian Daylight Savings Time, which Linda is on. She's an hour ahead of all of us at the moment. Brisbane doesn't have that where I live. I was saying to Linda last week, I kind of wish we did, simply so we'd be in sync with the rest of the Australian states, but anyway, we don't. Make sure you have a look at your local time right now, because this is when we meet. We of course didn't meet last week. I had a public holiday, the King's birthday, if you will, and so we didn't meet last week. But we are now going to be meeting. All things being equal, none of us know the future, but I have planned and scheduled to now meet all the way through to the end of November. And so every Monday between now and the end of November, we will be meeting. I think in that time I've got 2 more guests, international guests. I think I've scheduled 1 more mini topic. And we'll have our end of year show where Linda is going to come on, and we look back at the year that has been, and of course intermingled in all of that, including today, we're going to do some Q&A. So if you've got questions, please put it into the chat. Linda grabs them and we will look at that after today's mini topic, which I guess we probably should get to. Should we? I guess we should. Let's have a look at navigating vocal obstacles. Because if you have been singing for any length of time, you will have hit your fair share of obstacles. If you're still in the honeymoon period, you're an absolute beginner and it's just all this wondrous space of learning and excitement and discovery, that is awesome. And no one, and today is not designed to rob you of that experience. I want you to enjoy that while you are in that phase, because it can be very exciting. But for those of us who are a bit longer in the tooth when it comes to singing and learning to sing, we know, don't we, that there are obstacles to overcome. And so today we're going to look at six key obstacles. There are more, and some of you will be putting some into the chat as we speak. There are more than six. Of course there are more, but we only got time to look at six today. So the first one we want to look at, and I thought this would be interesting, is I want us to think about, I should really, highlight that this is going to be a very proactive, we're going to look at this through a very proactive lens. And so we're going to be identifying the obstacle as something that we're going to be seeking to overcome. And we're going to look to overcome some of our obstacles through the use of technology. And when we can overcome some of our obstacles in part with using technology, by the technology can reveal some of those obstacles. For example, when I have a in-studio student, I can't do this with my online students, but when I have an in-studio student, we do a 2-page vocal analysis. And when I do those analyses, I use a software program. I actually use 2 pieces of software. One is for pitch, and so we look at pitch accuracy, and I use a software program called Sing and See, because visually it displays that very well. And then the other piece of software I use is called Voce Vista, and I use that to kind of explain resonance and overtones. A singer gets to see their vibrato in that, and they also get to see the resonance development, and so they get to see absence of overtones, and so that can reveal some things. But it can also often show constricted states where the muscles are grabbing. It can show breathiness. There's a number of factors that we're able to highlight that a singer might have found difficult to identify without the use of software. Because the wonderful thing about using software to overcome these barriers, the software is not emotionally involved. Certainly not yet. Where is AI going? I have no idea. But as we go to record in 2024, it's not emotionally invested. It only gives you back what you give it, and it does so in a very even-handed way, and that can be really positive for our development, because we can take it without any emotional loading. It's very easy to receive from that. I want to encourage you, and again, this is an opportunity for me to encourage you to participate in the Facebook community here at Voice Essentials. If you go to Facebook and look up Voice Essentials, we're called Voice Essentials Community, aren't we? And it is a private group, so you do have to request or go through the automated system of agreeing to the group rules is the number one thing that you need to do. But it's such a wonderful space to receive really constructive feedback, positive affirmation of your voice. And I know those people who do actively participate in the community on the Facebook group, really gain that sense of it removes that sense of isolation. You're not, just you in your bedroom singing away and hoping it's okay. You're able to record and just onto a smartphone. A lot of people in the group are simply using technology as simple as their smartphone and uploading and getting feedback, and so that's a really positive thing to do. And that can just also overcome stagnation. When you're not assured of where you are, it's all too easy to just go, just sit here and not go any further, because you don't have that motivation to go further. The second thing that we want to think about is overcoming psychological barriers. And I often say to my students, this singing thing, a lot of it is a mind game. A lot of it is you developing the mental strength in your development of voice. And it's in part driven by your mind-body connection and you being in connection with your body, that kinesthetic awareness. Because as we become aware of what our body physically is doing, we can also start to become aware of any stress and anxiety that can build into a body tension. Tension, and I'm talking about negative tension here, is the enemy of good singing. We want our singing to be free physically. We want our body to be active. We want it to be dynamic. We want it to be physically engaged, but we don't want it to be tense and rigid and tight. And so the way to overcome that, in part, there are some very proactive things that we can do to do with our body to release tension. But you kind of have to know the tension's there to start with. And so overcoming these psychological barriers and I started a new student today, and she, this is very normal for a new student. We talk about kinesthetic awareness, and I said to her, a big part of the process of building this kinesthetic connection, this awareness of the physical body, is play, is being in the instrument for a period of time. And some of that's going to come from visualization techniques. As you may know, I spent with my students, I spend a lot of time in front of my there's some charts that I use, and we build a mind map so that we're very aware of what the body is doing. But the other part of visualization techniques is that you can start to go into the psychology of your singing and start to empower yourself mentally. Now, there are some people that are more comfortable than perhaps I am to take this to quite a degree, and a psychologist, for example, would take this much further than I ever would in a lesson. But learning to overcome your anxiety through visualization, that can be simply sitting in a comfortable chair, being upright, being mindful, and then mentally walking yourself through a performance, including stepping onto stage, walking up to the mic, introducing yourself calmly. All of these things can be achieved through visualization. And so if one of your barriers is performance anxiety, then these are great techniques to practice and employ. As we continue, I want to make a point that there is no one silver bullet as we go along here. Most of us, like the rest of us, are employing and utilizing a variety of these practices to facilitate the the development and the overcoming of our, we've all got them. We've all got the vocal barriers. And so I want you, as we go along today and we get into the remaining 4, take what you need as we go along. And don't just, it's so easy here on YouTube, isn't it, to just jump onto YouTube and passively watch, in this case, watch Dr. Dan talk through these things. At the end of the day, these things will only be truly helpful to you if you are able to action them, do them. And the first time you apply these, for example, the visualization technique, it might or might not be overly effective. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it again and practice it, work it like a muscle and become better at it each time. The Dalai Lama said, a calm mind brings inner strength and self-confidence. And that is a truism, regardless of your religious belief. A calm mind brings inner strength and self-confidence. And sometimes what we do need to do is calm our mind. Our mind wants to race away on us, often in a catastrophizing manner, and we need to arrest that. Now, for some of us, that might require more intervention than simply me saying to you, be mindful, be calm. For some of us, a psychologist or a psychiatrist is a necessary part of that process, or simply a counselor. But nonetheless, seek that calm mind. For a singer, for a musician, for an artist, it's really important. I think we've talked about cross-training in a lot more depth than we're going to do here. And so you can go to the channel and seek that out in a video that we've done. But exploring, breaking through certain barriers sometimes means you need to mix it up a little. And that mixing it up has to come from sometimes getting out of your comfort zone. For me, my comfort zone is adult contemporary. Man, that's where I feel comfortable. It's what I love to sing. But every now and then, there's a piece that I'm currently working on, which is kind of, look, it is a bit adult contemporary, but it's more country rock. It's not really down the middle for me. And so I'm having to, what it's doing is it's causing me to build my stamina, and it's causing me to integrate certain techniques that I don't have to utilize a lot in my adult contemporary. This is a really positive thing, because when I do go back to my comfort zone, guess what? My comfort zone, it's even more comfortable. And so explore various singing styles. I think you'll find that helps you break through certain barriers. And enhance vocal strength through physical fitness. I was at a lot of you who watch this show regularly know that I regularly go to the gym every Monday morning. And I was thinking yesterday morning, before I went this morning to the gym, I was thinking, man, some of my upper back issues that were plaguing me 3 years ago just are no longer a clear and present danger to me. Now, why is that important for me as a singer? Well, upper body, hello, my upper back is free. It has strength without being overtoned to create any issues. And it means that I'm more able to support my voice in a more balanced way. That has come through the dedication to my physical fitness. And I can tell you my PT would like to see me go to the gym more, but I do what I can, and I want to encourage you to start by doing what you can. If starting by simply walking the block is a step you need to take. Build that physical fitness, particularly your aerobic fitness, your cardio fitness. So important for singing, so important for breath management. And of course, we know breath management is one of the founding pillars of good breath, of good vocal technique. So if you know that physical fitness is a barrier to you, recognize it and decide to do something about it. Don't wait until the new year to set yourself a New Year's resolution. Start today. What are you going to do today? And start with purpose and intention. And who knows where you'll be by Christmas and by New Year's. You know, it would be exciting to think you hit the new year with a running start, not, you know, a dead start. And New Year's resolutions, in my experience, don't make it to February, typically. So my encouragement is to you to start with all of these, start today. And some of that might be about your lifestyle adjustments. I think one area that we are across the population, not just singing, but scientists are learning more and more and more about the importance of sleep. And I can tell you, when I have not slept well, and I would rate myself as a relatively good sleeper. But when I don't have a good night's sleep, which occasionally happens, and I then have to sing or, you know, teach, my voice feels like it is under a heavy, wet, soggy woolen blanket. Like it feels really heavy. That's how my vocal folds feel. And so, and the other thing too is when we are physically tired because we haven't slept well, our body ends up recruiting musculature in an unbalanced way because the body as a whole is going, oh, I can't be bothered. I just can't give you what you need. And so if you're at a gig, for example, well, you still got to kind of achieve the outcomes that you need to achieve, whether it be a high note, a long phrase, you know, 3 sets in a gig. And so what happens is you start to maladjust and recruit musculature in an imbalanced way, all because physically you're not on. And so I want to encourage you, do things to really improve your sleep habits and develop a sleep strategy. And if you don't know how to do that, talk to a doctor, talk to a GP about some strategies, or someone who you can trust, who you think might be able to help in that way. I have a really dedicated sleep process. It includes reading. Sometimes it only includes reading a couple of pages of my novel. I'm currently rereading Game of Thrones. Such good writing. And I've just started book 3. I've read it before, but I'm going through it again. Such good writing, such great stories. But sometimes it only takes me to read 2 or 3 pages and I start to feel that practice onset of sleep. And I just know it in myself when I'm ready to put the book down. That doesn't have to work for you, but find what does work for you, because this is so important with your voice. And, you know, a lack of sleep can be a real hurdle, you know, if you're not on top of it. Managing environmental factors and allergies. I was saying to a student today, a different student, I've seen 3 students this morning. I was saying to a different student, he was all a bit clogged up, and I happen to know that this particular student does struggle with allergies. And we were just once again revisiting that and recognizing that it's important that you identify what are your triggers. Yeah, don't just accept that, oh, this morning I'm waking up with, I'm all clogged up. What? Why? More often than not, you will be able to identify something. And I would encourage you, go looking for what are your triggers, because if you can identify your triggers, for me, dust mites and pollen and mold, they're the three for me. If you can identify what your triggers are, you can actively go about, alleviate, at the very least, alleviating them, and improving that. For me, part of my alleviating strategy is having an air purifier here in the studio and in the bedroom when we sleep. And the other thing that Jody does with our bed sheets when we wash them once a week is she puts them through a 95 degrees Celsius wash, which kills bed mites and dust mites. And so that's a really positive thing to do. So identify what is your challenge with your environment, and is it maybe you live in a really dry area, and so you've got to think about your humidity. Maybe you work all day in air conditioning, which is also drying the air. Recognize it, identify it, and go looking to alleviate it. These are all things going to help you work through those things that are going to get in the way of the best outcomes for your voice. I love this quote. Jim Rohn said, "Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live." I just love that little turn at the end there, little turn of quote. It's the only place you have to live. We only get given one housing for our life, don't we? You have to come to peace with it, but equally you can do things that get the most out of it. And that's what we're talking about today. The fifth thing that we want to do is don't shy away from seeking professional guidance. I'm going to say something that you may or may not agree with right now. I'm going to say there are some obstacles that you will not be able to overcome by yourself. And you might go, no, that's not true. But I think it is. And in part because I see it every day of my working life when I'm working with a singer and they've tried X, Y, Z and nothing's working. And often I'm able to, as a person, firstly of learned experience, 30 years teaching next year, and also a person who's had the practical performance experience of 25 years plus, I'm able to come alongside them and with them identify perhaps something that they may not have come to on their own. And we're able to work through that together and explore different things, in part because I'm on the outside observing and I'm able to see perhaps things clearer, quicker than the singer themselves may have been able to identify. So don't shy away from that. Sometimes, yes, there is some expense associated with that, but if you seek the assistance of the right professional, that money will always pay dividends. It will always pay dividends. The strategic scheduling to avoid overuse, and I've spoken to rest. Well, we spoke to sleep just before, but I've spoken to the idea of vocal rest. You know, so many of the wear and tear issues that singers can face will not escalate into damage if the singer is able to just pit stop and take a break, get some vocal rest. I know for our extroverted friends, of which I am not one, believe it or not, I am an introvert. For extroverts, this can be a little bit more challenging because, there's always that outward expression, often by voice. But I implore you, seek opportunities to rest. And I tell you what, not only does that help you to overcome vocal obstacles, it can help you to avoid vocal obstacles. And I think that's an important thing. Finally, we want to embrace some of these challenges, some of the setbacks specifically, as opportunities. And I don't want to be all toxic positivity with this, right? But there are opportunities at times, because here's the thing. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. And I can tell you I've made plenty of performance mistakes, vocal mistakes. But I guess the real challenge is to not let those mistakes derail our progress. And sometimes we want to turn those errors into learning moments rather than just purely sources of frustration. I think the times that they can become sources of frustration, and I have done this, I have definitely done this, is when I spend too much time ruminating on the past. What has just happened? We have a big race here in Australia called Bathurst, the Bathurst 1000. It's a car race, and I really enjoy. I'm a fair weather, car enthusiast. I enjoy watching F1 and I enjoy watching the Bathurst 1000. So as you might think, a bit, 1,000. This is a race over 1,000 kilometers, and so I had it on yesterday, and in the qualifying laps called the shootout. I think it was during the shootout because I didn't actually see it, but one of the lead drivers, who is very young, he put it into the sand. So it means he overshot a turn and basically wrecked his hot lap, which gave him a reduced time for his lap in qualifying for the next day. So this all happened on the Saturday, and they kept they interviewed him, and he said that because this is a race that's done with two drivers, each car has two drivers, and typically you've got the drivers in the car who are normally in the car, and they bring in an outside driver. I'm just checking that this, and they bring in this, and the outside driver is typically a really highly experienced, long-serving driver in supercars. And they're interviewing the young guy, and the young guy said that his experienced driver had said to him, leave it behind. Just leave it behind. You can't go back. Learn from it. Certainly analyze it. What did you do wrong? Right. Now stop ruminating on it and move forward. Learn from the error and let's move forward. And that young driver was able to do that and placed quite well later in the day. So, the same things happen with our voice. Yeah, you are going to make mistakes, but don't linger on them. Learn from them and move forward. This is all hopefully going to lead to you building resilience. And I think again, if you've been doing this for any length of time, resilience is something we need as singers. We're constantly putting ourselves out there, aren't we? And there's something in us when we, present our voice, with our voice being so closely attached to us that, learning to to do that again and again and again is going to come through resilience, and resilience comes through doing it again and again and again, and just choosing to get back up. If you get knocked down, get up again, and that's because you are going to get knocked down, but get back up, continue, keep going, and I want to hopefully see that I want you to see that setback, that immediate moment. And sometimes it can be really hard to see it in the moment, but see that as an opportunity. There are many, and you can go looking for them on YouTube, there are many singers who speak about their setbacks, often in interviews, and you can draw inspiration from those. And I encourage you to jump online and go searching for some of those if you can. Albert Einstein, who to my knowledge was not a singer, but I think this is a great quote. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. And that's a great way for us to finish today, talking about this idea of overcoming vocal obstacles. You are going to have to try something new. A lot of what we've talked about today is about trying something new, and you won't know until you've tried it as to whether it's going to work for you. And not everything's going to work for you, but you have to find through your own play. Oh, I love this word, play. I want to encourage you to play and explore. What is it that's going to help you overcome your obstacles? And I'm sure Professor Einstein would be very impressed with us if we did that. And I do hope that today's journey through navigating vocal obstacles has been helpful, and we've got time to answer one or two questions. Let's see how we go. I've got to come back over here first. So let's come over to here. Did we have any questions, Linda? We do. Or some more comments. Sharon has said, let me come down to Sharon. Sharon has said, here we go. This is the one we were looking for Sharon. Sharon has said, my main challenge is switching smoothly between head and chest voice. Yeah, that's quite a normal challenge, Sharon, to workshop that transition. And I think what people often miss is the need to establish other things. So you've got to develop your body alignment. You've got to develop your tension management, born out of good breath management. And those are all going to lead towards you being able to manage your register transitions. They need to be in play before you get to those. So I hope that helps. And of course, Sharon, we do all of that in the Voice Essentials online programs. Laura has said that her biggest challenge is belting up high without strain or without shouting. And again, that comes back partly to breath management. There's such a big temptation to want to drive and push the air the higher we get. But actually, learning to not overload the subglottal pressure is a big part about managing that high belt space. Miki Taylor has said here that emphysema diagnosis has meant that there's some pitches I can't hit anymore. Well, till I heal this, music heals. I find that music is quite healing and soothing to the soul, Miki, and I want to encourage you to, I was speaking with a, I keep saying I was speaking with a student. I was speaking with my first student. I've literally mentioned all three students today. My first student, we were talking about, working in the new normal. Now I say that, I think it was actually my second student. We're working within our, no, it was yesterday on the phone. I was taking an inquiry and this person was talking. I talk voice all day, every day. It's remembering which conversation was had with who. And I was talking about with this particular person had what's called a pseudocyst, very challenging to deal with on the vocal fold. And I was talking to her about learning to reconcile oneself to working within the new parameters of their new normal. And this can be quite challenging. And so emphysema is going to give you some sort of boundaries, certainly in the short term. And Mickey, I would encourage you to learn to work within those new boundaries and continue to exercise your voice in a manner that is safe and appropriate to the health challenge that you are currently facing. And I can see Dean's put a question up, or is it a question or a statement? This will be, I think, where we finish. This year was the first year I've had sleep problems all my life, 7 hours a day. Last 6 months, only 6. It greatly affected my vision and memory. I recovered after a single night of 8 hours of sleep. I remember, Dean, our second child, our first child, when Caitlin was born, she was a fantastic sleeper, to the point where I probably could be accused of having the thought, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. This parenting thing's easy, certainly on the basis of the kids sleeping, because Caitlin would just sleep. I think she was sleeping through within the first number of weeks of being born. How hard can this thing be? I probably thought to myself, until Jaden came along, our second, and these, I'm talking my son Jaden, he's 20 in a couple of months. So we're talking a long time ago. But Jaden did not sleep a single night uninterrupted for the first 18 months of his life. Jody and I did not, for 18 months, have a straight stretch of sleep. Not once. It was during that time that Jody and I both learnt why sleep deprivation is a form of torture. We were the walking dead. It was hard yakka. And so, Dean, I sympathize with you, my friend. When you have that reduction of sleep, it's a real challenge. And I would encourage you to explore, perhaps, and I'm sure you are, Dean, explore why is that. And I would explore that with a medical professional. What is it that has disrupted your sleep? And getting back to that 7 hours would be wonderful if you could do that. What a great, I've enjoyed today's live hangout. The mini topic, I do feel like the mini topic once again went a lot longer than I had designed. But we covered some good ground. I hope we've covered some really helpful tips for you today, and I'm hoping that you've enjoyed our time together. Again, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed the hangout, and I very much look forward to seeing you next week. One thing I didn't do before I started today's show was have a look at what are we doing next week. I can't remember. I want to say a Q&A. But maybe it's a special guest. I can't remember. And because I didn't look, I don't know. So we'll find out. We'll find out together. Either way, we'll get it sorted. And either way, you'll hear me end the show by saying, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.